Welcome back in live to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We are starting our 2022 NFL draft season, and we're doing a Detroit Lions 2022 NFL mock with the full 7 rounds. Going into this, I think it's important that we understand Jared Goff might be kind of our gap quarterback as the Lions look to kind of fill in that franchise quarterback. That being said, this year really doesn't seem to be the year to go do that. So what we're going to be doing is focusing on filling out a younger, a better, and deeper roster for the Lions. They need a lot of help on defense. I think they need another wide receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown's been very good for the Lions. That being said, he's not really like a boundary wide receiver one. I think we can get one of those guys late in the first round. Um, we're going to fire this thing up and see what happens. Evan Neal goes one to the Jags. So we have our pick between the top two edge rushers, and I think this is a great spot for the Lions to be in. I really think it's a judgment call. Thibodeau has obviously tremendous upside. Aiden Hutchinson's been the best player in college football. He's graded out that way. If you watch the tape on it, he has been the best player. Unblockable, very strong in the run game, and obviously 13 sacks on the season is phenomenal as well. Local kid too. We're gonna go get him. Not only are the Lions second to last in sacks per game, they're also bottom tier in the run defense too. Aiden Hutchinson is going to help both. He's phenomenal setting the edge and making tackles around the line of scrimmage. He's also very good at getting after the passer. I think he'd have a lot more sacks if he wasn't getting held all those plays. That's neither here nor there. I think that's a great pick at number two. If you go with Kevon Thibodeau, I wouldn't complain either. I think Evan Neal might be the only one that doesn't fit after you went and got your franchise quarterback in Penei Sewell. All right, so I picked 28. We're gonna reject this, reject that. Oh my God, Garrett Wilson falls. I'm a fan of. I think like Treylon Burks is a great guy to target here. I don't think you're gonna get Garrett Wilson. We're gonna go up and take Garrett Wilson because that's an absolute steal. But guy like Treylon Burks, a guy like Drake London, I think those are both phenomenal options for the Detroit Lions. Bigger boundary receivers who can win outside. Treylon Burks, I hate to comp him to like a Julio Jones, but that freak 225 size, 6'3", 225, he's also probably going to run in the 4.4s. Phenomenal speed. That's just going to be impossible to cover. So I love him, and you saw how reliant that Arkansas offense was on him. I think Drake London's also a very good fit there. Another bigger body guy who can separate better than I think a lot of people give him credit for, but is absolutely phenomenal going up and catching balls and really good after the catch. He reminds me of Travis Kelce after the catch. Very hard to bring down. That being said, Garrett Wilson is my number one wide receiver on the board. Separates at an extremely high level, has phenomenal ball skills, and is very good after the catch. He's a complete wide receiver. I think he's going to be an absolute blue chip prospect at that wide receiver spot. We're going to go Garrett Wilson with the steal of the draft, to be honest. Again, I wouldn't hate Treylon Burks. He falls there. I'm fine with that. Nakobe Dean's there. This might be the best mock draft ever for the Detroit Lions. This is a no-brainer. If you watch Nakobe Dean all year, especially in that Orange Bowl against Michigan, he is an absolute eraser from that middle linebacker spot. Plays very, very fast. Very good blitzing that A-gap. They love doing that. So he's going to help probably those sack numbers as well. Phenomenal in the run game, stacking blocks and making plays, and extremely good sideline speed. Michigan ran a few swing passes to Blake Corum, Donnie Edwards, two really, really fast, athletic running backs. Nakobe Dean was in man coverage, got out there, made 2 tackles. Very disruptive, blows up a lot of plays, and very instinctive. The other linebackers in this class who I think the Detroit Lions could be targeting in the second round, a Brandon Smith, a Christian Harris, both very good athletes. Brandon Smith especially, phenomenal physical traits. They just don't seem to see the field as well as Nakobe Dean and as well as you might want a linebacker prospect. Kind of slow filling those holes. Brandon Smith had a little too many missed tackles for me as well, which I think is making him fall a little bit. Zion Johnson, I would have loved for the Lions there. And Jahan Dotson. That's tough. I'm going to reject that. Isaiah Lakely, I really like out of Coastal. TJ Hawkinson's there. I don't think we need to go tight end. Trying to think of some of the players we might need. Let's go look at the contract situation. You're gonna get Ragnar back next year. Jeff Okuda is coming back, and I'm still high on Jeff Okuda. I know he's had a slow start, obviously injuries, but he's so smooth. His film at Ohio State was so good. I think he'll be all right. Anyone's expiring, and this is really optimistic because you have like a couple of really good offensive linemen. Sewell, who's really starting to figure it out. Taylor Decker's phenomenal tackle. Frank Ragnar's probably the best center in the league. You have some really good kind of cornerstones on that offensive line, which makes you kind of like we don't need to address that offensive line. Very good tailback in DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams to kind of spell him. I wouldn't mind adding another cornerback. It's a young group. Jeff Okuda, Afate, I mess his name up every time. The rookie out of Syracuse, super long. I liked his game. We're gonna see what's on the board here, and I also don't hate going safety, so we're gonna check kind of our options. Leon O'Neal, he's a guy that I've started to really like. Phenomenal range at the back end for Texas A&M. He was kind of the cornerstone of that defense. I think he had 3 or 4 picks this year too. So good ball skills, kind of always around the ball, and he's a very willing tackler. Super fast, super strong prospect. I mean, go check out his Instagram page. Dude's absolutely a muscle freak. Works really hard. Jimbo Fisher said that plenty of times how much of a leader he's been for that phenomenal Aggie defense. I think we're gonna go get him here. He's kind of one of my guys. Again, what do you look for in safeties? They have good range at that back end. Can they go make plays on the football? And can they come up and tackle? Leon O'Neal checks all those boxes. I'm gonna go get him. That kind of shores up that back end too. So you're young back there, but you have some serious talent. I mean, I was looking at this depth chart, and Dean Marlowe. I mean, he was a former Bill. I don't know if he's like a starting safety. Uh, and so you go up and get a guy like Leon O'Neal, and you're looking good. Now, there's some other linebackers here that I mean, I know we got Kobe Dean, but I think the linebacking unit for the Lions might be the worst unit on the field for them, maybe minus their wide receiving group. And there's some good linebackers here that we're going to be able to target late. So we're going to keep our eyes out on that. Now we're going to go back to the big board here, see if anyone jumps out. Desmond Ridder, I think, really showed some weaknesses against that Alabama defense. To be fair, his line wasn't blocking for him as much as you would like, but I kind of worry about I worry about how that RPO offense and the skills he's shown translates to the NFL. So I'm not really sure if I'm going with him. And again, ride Jared Goff. You're not gonna be able to trade him as much as you probably want to because he's taken so much money off your book. But ride him until you can jump on a better rookie prospect next year. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, 2 guys who I really like. If you guys can figure out a way to go up and get one of those 2, I think that'd be a phenomenal rookies to target. Smoke Monday is a guy I really like. I mean, now going in late, early 3rd round, later day 2 picks, you're kind of looking for like your best prospects as opposed to like filling in holes on your team. Jalen Petrie had a phenomenal game for Baylor. I mean, Channing Tindall. I don't know if I want to double up on linebackers. I'll go with Damone Clark. Damone Clark's top 5 in the country in tackles. I think he needs to play a little bit more downhill and kind of around the line of scrimmage. I feel like he's catching a lot, tackling guys 5-6 yards down the field, which, yeah, looks good in the stat sheet, but you want him to kind of get downhill. But I think he could be a really good running bait for Nakobe Dean, who's borderline. If there's a knock on Nakobe Dean, he's too downhill, too aggressive, and kind of defenses can use that against him with either end arounds, counters, play action. So let's go and get Damone Clark in a really sharp. There's 2 guys who I really like at that linebacker spot. Jacoby McLean could be another guy. Leo Chenal is another guy I really like. So I would be okay waiting for a linebacker. Terrell Bernard had a phenomenal game last night against Ole Miss. He had like 3 pass defense, I think 2 sacks, a couple TFLs. He was just all over the field. I was super impressed with him. I think there's a pretty big gap now with the Lions picks. Um, Now I don't hate going a little maybe younger on that offensive line. George Pickens is a guy if he falls. I'm a George Pickens fan. Freak athlete, very big, very good possession wise. Obviously, the ACL injury is causing a little slide in his value. He went there, but I think he's a great flyer to take. Doesn't separate as much as you might like, but he can go up and catch over people. Very good downfield. That's kind of what you got with a Treylon Burks. But well, we actually got Garrett Wilson in this one, so I mean, he could be a very good option. You look at that. You got Pickens, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the slot, and T.J. Hockenson at tight end. All right, now we're looking at. I mean, I want to look younger at this offensive line here. JT Daniels, I'm not a huge believer in. Max Mitchell's a guy that I think he's going to need a good senior day. Uh, Obviously, playing some of that lower talent, you want to see how he matches up against some of the top dogs. And so, looking at his senior day is going to be really good. Check this offensive tackle group. A guy that I really liked, and I don't think he's on the board right now, is Jamari Salyer out of Georgia. They have him listed as a tackle. I think he projects more as a guard. He's playing left tackle for Georgia, but I think he's a little bit squattier, 325, 6'3". So the length isn't quite there. Very good feet. I think he's going to be a phenomenal guard. I don't think he's on the board right now for us. He's been a guy I like to target late. Dontario Drummond, he's an interesting guy. Very big, physical. I think he goes 220. A little, maybe I'll say like a knockoff Treylon Burks, where he's just really big and also runs really well. And so that's kind of what Treylon Burks' game is. Really big, really fast. That's just hard to match up with. You match him up with a smaller, speedier cornerback, he's going to get burned. God, I really want to go get him. I think looking at this depth chart, just like it's depleted at the pass catching position. I mean, none of these guys move the needle for me. And so you could go like Quintez Cephas is, I know, still a young guy, but I mean, he's a late round pick. There's just nothing at that wide receiver position. Let's check the big board for wide receiver, see if I like anyone else before we get Drummond. Yeah, I'm gonna go get Drummond here. I think him and Garrett Wilson on the outside, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of in that slot, and obviously Hawk at tight end. I think that's going to really round out a pretty solid wide receiving group. I think Drummond has a ton of potential, and so we're going to go with him here. Jaden Reed's another guy that I really liked. Here's like a time that like if you want to take a flyer at a quarterback, I don't hate. JT Daniels, a former 5-star, hasn't played significant ball in a really long time. Obviously, Stetson Bennett took over the helm at Georgia, so I don't necessarily love that. Looking at some of the running backs, nothing there that really excites me. I like James Cook, but I'm a kind of thing that I'm thinking that I want to just let DeAndre Swift kind of be the bell cow. I think Jamal Williams, quite frankly, is getting too much carries. As much as I like that dude, DeAndre Swift's special. You want to give him the ball 20 plus times a game, whether it's the running game, whether it's in the passing game. Very explosive. I loved him out of Georgia. So I don't think we need to go wide receiver here. We had 2 wide receivers, so I'm kind of passing on that. We have Hawk there. So let's look at this offensive line class. Here's a time where you might want to just take Max Mitchell or Wanya Morris. Wanya Morris was a high recruit out of high school. I don't think anything's going to be available at the guard spot or the center spot. I mean, not that you need a center. Let's check the defense side of the ball before we make our selection. This is a good hard hitting safety. I don't know if he's an NFL guy because I worry about that range and pass coverage skills. Um, but I like his game a lot. JT Woods had a phenomenal game. I could say that about pretty much every Baylor guy. I'm looking for maybe another pass rusher. Jordan Strachan transfers from, I believe, Georgia Southern, where he had 15 sacks. So he's kind of a pass rusher specialist, you would say. Um, doesn't quite excite me. This guy kind of excites me. He's a bigger body. Um, Not as much of a pass rusher as I kind of want here. Let's check the cornerback spot. Man, we're kind of at the bottom of the barrel here, I think. Yeah, I would think Wanya Morris is maybe a good flyer pick, or Zion Nelson. Let's go with Zion Nelson. Zion Nelson's a guy. He was a third year out in Miami. They trotted him out as a true freshman against a very good Florida defense a couple of years ago. Got burnt. I mean, this kid just was not ready. I think he was like 285 pounds soaking wet. Played tight end in high school. Um, and then they trot him out as a true freshman to play. Jabari Zuniga, I think, was at Florida. Like, this was like a really, really talented front seven. And he just got, I think he let up like 4 sacks, a couple holdings. It was a really rough showing. That being said, really got better his sophomore year. And then he's projected as like a day one, day two pick going into this year, kind of based off projection. How is he gonna take that next step? Because if he takes another step like he did from his true freshman to sophomore year, he's gonna be a great pick. Very, very good athlete, as I mentioned, played tight end, really good feet. He just didn't take the step. I think he's a great candidate to come back to school for one more year. Mario Cristobal comes in at Miami, kind of can develop him. That being said, if he's there, kind of late round pick, I really like that kid's game. I like the potential, right? You have some younger tackles. Let him learn and see what you can do here. All right, 218. Let's go back to the big board here. Here's like I don't hate taking a James Cook here. James Cook is just smooth as butter. Him and DeAndre Swift can be a really strong duo. Obviously, you have Jamal Williams still there too. Jamar Jefferson, you guys took. I was never a big fan of him. He had like a great yards per carry average. That was in like the Pac-12. I didn't really get his hype very much. Greg Dulcich is a guy I actually kind of want to go and get him. I'm going to check the defense before I do. He's a phenomenal tight end. Doesn't really block much, but very, very fast and a great route runner. Hits some really explosive plays for UCLA. I liked his game a lot. Bubba Bolden's a guy who just fell, man. He fell like a rock. Anyone else that we really like here before we make our pick? No. What about at the linebacker spot? I actually like a couple of these guys. I know we went 2 linebackers, and so I'm kind of like worried about that. Actually, I think I know who I'm gonna get. I think I know who I'm gonna get, boys and girls. Yeah, we're gonna go get Josh Pascal. He's a guy that I think Matt Campbell fell in love with. A bigger edge prospect. I think where I see him, obviously a late round 6 pick. Uh, as a pass rusher on third downs, you kick him inside, so you'll have like Hutch on the outside. And then Pascal's a phenomenal pass rusher. Obviously, I said he's a little big. I don't think he can play inside on first and second down, just not big enough. And I worry about like that bend and get off playing him outside. But as a third down pass rusher, I think he can really get it done in the inside. I'm gonna check his weighting, and I think it's around 280. He's a big dog. He had Hodgkin's lymphoma. Couldn't play. Yeah, 278, 6'3". He plays really hard though. I mean, I think he's one of those guys where football's taken away from him, and now he's not going to take it for granted again. And I love his game. I love a lot of those guys from Kentucky, man. They play the game the right way, in my opinion. All right, here we go late. I think this is our last pick of the draft. So go find somebody who you love. Sasaki Ika, he played really well yesterday against Ole Miss, kind of dominating the backfield. Not going to go with him. I'm actually going to go with Damian Daniels. This guy's an absolute mountain. I think he goes 6'3", 325 um, out of Nebraska. I was super impressed with him and a bunch of other guys. I was at that Michigan-Nebraska game in Lincoln, and he was extremely impressed. I mean, there were many off or defenses that Michigan couldn't move around up front. That was one of them for the most part, and that was a large part from those D tackles who just were not giving up an inch on the line of scrimmage. Damian Daniels is one of them. I believe they got Aleem McNeil. Yeah, let's check this depth chart. I believe Aleem McNeil's there, who was another guy that I really liked. I actually like this D line, um, and we're kind of getting we're just getting more depth there. I mean, D line. Look at this injuries, man. Holy smokes! D line is a place that you can never have enough depth. One, the big guys they need breaks. You got to run them off the field a lot. Two, injuries happen. Like people get rolled up on, and so it's really important to have guys that you can come in. And this is kind of like a classic round 7 pick for me. Somebody who's like has like a small role. You're not going to take a double team taker. I mean, this guy's just going to take double teams, stand him up, and hopefully help those linebackers like Nakobe Dean come and make a play. You're not going to take a guy like that early, but I think when it gets to these late round picks, he's 6'3", has good leverage, he's very strong. I think those are great value picks late. Where those guys are going to serve purposes. They're not just going to ride the bench. They're going to come in for certain plays, and they're going to have a role. So I love this draft, man. I mean, we got so lucky. I think we're gonna have to do another one where we might not get as lucky. But Aiden Hutchinson, in my mind, is the number 1 prospect in the country. Phenomenal player. Garrett Wilson's an absolute steal. He's my wide receiver 1. Runs really good routes, separates really well, and has phenomenal ball skills. Obviously, super good after the catch as well. I mean, those Ohio State receivers are just open 24/7. Nakobe Dean, another steal. LB1, I think he'll be a top 20 pick. Personally, falls to 34. You address that. Probably the weakest unit on this Detroit Lions team. The linebackers, Leon O'Neal, a rangy safety who can come up and tackle. I like that. And again, I went with Damone Clark a little bit early, but I like this guy's game. I think he balances out Nakobe Dean really well. More of a, I don't even know if the right word is conservative, but Nakobe Dean's anything but conservative. He flies around. He's going to be very aggressive. Damone Clark, maybe a little bit less so, and maybe that's a good thing, right? Dontario Drummond, size and speed, and good ball skills. They were giving him a couple end arounds. You can do a lot of things with this guy. He's a very good athlete. He's very big. Zion Nelson, kind of a project tackle. Maybe put him behind Taylor Decker. Let him and Penei Sewell develop together. I think they're both like really physically. I mean, obviously Penei Sewell is very physically gifted, but Zion Nelson is also very physically gifted. I think he just needs to put it together a little bit more. I think partly it's just he gained so much weight so fast, and he came in at like 270 into Miami. Now he's sitting around 315. Getting used to how that body moves with an extra 40 pounds on it is big. I think he's going to figure it out. Again, late day 3 picks. Go with guys who have high ceilings. I mean, Nelson can be a very good tackle in this league. Pascal, a guy that I like how hard he plays. I think what Matt Campbell and what he's trying to do with that culture, I think Pascal fits right in. I think he's he's definitely a 2-time captain. Might be a 3-time captain at Kentucky. Part of that group that kind of brought Kentucky back a little bit. And then Damian Daniels, kind of a run stuffer, double team taker late. He's going to have a role too. And so this is a great haul for the Detroit Lions. It's a fun team because they're young and they got a good offensive line. You got to fill out a couple other positions and a couple other positions that are fun. Like those are fun positions to talk about: wide receiver, linebackers, D line. And so this is a team that we're going to mock again. I love this team, and this was a fun one. As usual, thank you guys for hanging in there with me. We'll definitely be doing more videos as draft season rolls around. Talk to you guys later. Peace.